I know I'm not answering what you're really asking, Leif, which is like, what's your follow-up process? But I'm giving you something way more important than a
Yeah.
follow-up process, which is I'm giving you a roadmap that you need to introduce to people so that rather than just following up, you can start to, like, if you have this conversation with somebody, Leif, you're already winning their business because what's going to start to happen is they're going to be like, wow, man, this person knows their stuff. I like how they're advising me through it. I like how they're asking me my experience and helping me understand what those next steps might look like. I like how professional they are. It's like it'll start to build trust because people's guards are way up. So my name's Jake Nicole. I'm in my fourth year as a real estate agent, my first year in the business. If you guys want to go and watch a full breakdown of this on YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel with just my name where I kind of go deep in depth on all this stuff. But my first year in the business, I did over $700,000 in gross commission income. And a lot of that comes from my background being so heavily in marketing, in sales, understanding paid advertising, having a bit of a background with sales. And I'm going to today do my very best to just relay the questions that you guys are maybe getting hung up on. So if you want to start to even prepare for today, thinking what the bottlenecks are in your business, and I would love to share how I've personally built a business where today, this year to date, so from January to today, I've got a team with myself and 7 other agents, and I do have a business partner. Him and I are the bigger producers on the team. But this year, our team's just crossed 110 million bucks in sales volume for the year, and almost $3 million in gross commission income that we've generated as a team across about myself, my business partner, and then 6 other agents. So some of those are brand new agents. It's largely Dave and I doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But I share all that to give you guys some credibility. I know if I was sitting on a call and someone wasn't selling more than I was, or didn't have maybe a different perspective, even maybe some of you guys are selling that much, but you just want a different perspective, then I would be a little more reluctant to share tons of information and sit on a call. So excited to dive in. What I'd love to do right away is talk about price points. I'll give you guys, what I'd love to talk about right away is the challenges you guys are facing. For me personally, my business in terms of price point, my average sale price is about $900,000. I sell, $3 million houses kind of on the higher end right now of what I've been selling, all the way down to like a more average price point would be in that, 900,000, $1 million range. I just moved to a neighborhood where I'm tending to sell things that are more at $1 million bucks, would kind of be the ground level. So it's obviously a great market to be in. It also just means the cost of living is very expensive, relatively speaking. So thank you guys so much for dropping in those price points. Awesome to see. Love to see it. Challenge wise, what are you guys dealing with? I'll share kind of just some of the things that I've definitely been learning lately. Is I'm moving increasingly towards a luxury market where I'm trying to target homes that are higher and higher priced. If there's anything I could encourage you guys to do, and I'll share my philosophy really quick. There's 3 levers in your business that you can improve upon. You either sell more houses, which is what a lot of us focus on. You sell more expensive houses, which I'd say less agents tend to focus on because maybe there's a bit of a lack of belief there that you're worthy of selling more expensive houses, that you need enough of a track record first, etc. And the third lever you can pull is that you charge more commission, which for a lot of us might be a non-starter in the conversation. And for some of us, if you're in a market where maybe there's agents starting to discount their commissions, you can do some unique things. And I know for a bunch of you in the States right now, there's also this huge, decoupling of commissions, right? Which we don't have to talk too much about unless you really want to get into it. So for me, in terms of what I'm trying to work on is going increasingly after the luxury market and really making sure that the challenges most people have in their business from, kind of 0 to $1 million bucks is a lot of just getting systems in place and having good CRM functioning, having a good workflow with your daily workflow. And then once you're at kind of $1 million bucks to $3 million, the challenge you have at that point is just really thinking about customer delivery and how do I make sure that the delivery of my services is just done so well that I create raving fans, that I really work out all the kinks in my systems and get all that stuff going. So in terms of challenges, what are you guys dealing with right now? Because I could just start teaching on something. I'd way rather speak directly to what you guys are dealing with. Because we all kind of have different challenges. So just to single somebody out, Melissa from Austin, Texas, drop it in there what your challenge is. Susan Anderson, see your faces. You guys are lovely. Great to have you on the call. Drop in there what your challenges are. And if anybody wants to raise their hand, I'd love to single you out and chat about it. Yeah, Melissa, you're raising your hand. Go for it.
in Austin, because you were talking about like you have three choices, blah blah blah. Area alone, there's like 20, I think the last number I heard was like 27,000 realtors. It's so saturated on the market that it's really hard to, one, as a newer agent, break through that. And then like there is always discount ones that are like lining up all over the place. And it's been hard. And I when I to some people and I get through, they're a lot of times they're like, well, I'm still going to talk to a whole bunch of people, and I've got some other people who are willing to do it for less, and it's constant.
Awesome. So, first thought is welcome to the world of real estate. I joke over here in the GTA that everybody and their cousin is a real estate agent. And when I talk with people, they'll even say, we have someone we've been working with, or, we have so many real estate agents. And my response is always, I'd be surprised if you didn't have three friends, a cousin, and a neighbor who's a real estate agent. Like, I get it. Everybody's a real estate agent. I think we smoke you guys. I think we have like 70,000 agents in the greater Toronto area, like way more than that. And it's crazy saturated. But here's what I will say: it's saturated, but it is not competitive. Do not fool yourself to think that real estate is a competitive business. I'll be really blunt. A lot of real estate agents are total losers. They sell one house a year. And if it's just starting, that's different. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that are like calling themselves real estate agents and they sell no houses. So it's saturated, but it is not competitive. And I want you to like write that down if you need to get that grilled into your thinking. And here's what I mean by that: saturation is different than competition in a couple obvious ways. Just because there's a saying in my city, there's a lot of runners. And it'd be like everybody can run in your city, or most people can run. And I'm talking about physically just going outside and running. But how many of them are actually good at running is a different thing. So I would encourage you not to spend another minute looking up how many real estate agents there are or being concerned about that. Your entire focus for you, Melissa, is really about what is it that I need to do differently to stand out in the market center? Like that's hopefully the question that you're trying to get to is like, hey, how do I stand out? How do I be a better agent? How do I position myself as an authority? Those are all the questions you want to ask. So really quickly, just to speak to that, I have a very high level of confidence. Part of it was be it until I became it when I was getting started as an agent. I had the belief system, Melissa, that whatever agent I was going to go up against, even if they had a lot of experience, I was probably going to work harder than they would. I was probably going to have more unique marketing strategies than they would. I was probably going to do a better job in the negotiation process. I just knew that I was coming with a certain skill set that I personally carried over as a belief system to start with when I'm sitting down with a seller. If they remembered nothing of what I said, I wanted them to be able to remember the feeling of that guy's really confident and he's going to probably do a great job with our home because of how confident he is. And I'm starting with this for you, Melissa, because at the end of the day, when someone's sitting down with you, if they're saying, "Hey, we need to get another opinion. This do it cheaper," then that's a that's for you to improve your sales ability. And here's what that comes down to: if they're purely looking to get the lowest possible price agent, then you're in front of some of the wrong people right now, and that's fine. Like I still meet those people to this day; it's inevitable. But the second thing is if they're walking away saying they want to talk to more people, then it is a you didn't whatever boxes because they're going to pick somebody, right? Like it's not like they're not going to pick anybody. And it's not like everybody just picks the cheapest person, right? So that's a sales challenge. And what I would encourage all of us in from a sales perspective is go in ready to say, to have a deck ready. You should always go in with a deck if you're pitching a seller, right? You should also know how to speak to things. And if you don't know these things, and you're not confident in your ability to learn how to do sales at a high level, then it's really simple. You can go do courses in education and training, or you can go join a team and shadow great agents and bring some value to that team so that they want to invest in you. Because the way that I learned early on is I had a sales background, but then I also had some really amazing real estate agents that I was able to lean on and ask questions at a high level of like, if I get this objection, what is it that I need to say? What is it that I need to do? So I dread the idea of thinking about all the agents that are out there as my competition. I think about it as I'm in the top 0.5% of real estate agents in the Toronto area based on how many houses I sell, not even just my team. So there's actually only 100 people that I'm competing with. There's 135 agents that sell that many houses in the entirety of the GTA, which is like, I don't know, 6 million people. So with those 135 people I'm competing against, maybe another 35 to 50 of them run teams and they're inflating their numbers of individual sales by their team members. So really I'm only competing with like maybe 80 people. And I let sellers know that. So obviously that's, you know, Melissa, you might be thinking, well, that's nice for you to say, but I can't say that right now. So what you need to say is I'm going to work harder than all those people. You know, that agent that you interviewed, they have 8 listings already that aren't selling. You're going to be my biggest focus. And because of that, what you're going to get is I'm going to wake up every day thinking about your house and how to move it forward and having conversations. And I'm just going to work that much harder for you. Right. So you got to think about at every level of growth, you want to know what those weaknesses are and how to speak to that. Right. So if I'm going up against someone and let's say they're on a really big team and I'm not on a big team, I've got 8 agents. I say to people all the time, hey, look, if you want Walmart, and Walmart is the like, would you go to Walmart to get your, you know, financial services set up? If it's like your biggest financial asset, probably not. You'd probably go to like a boutique bank or like a high-end dealership for a car. Like if quality matters to you, that's what we provide. If you're okay with kind of a more generic stock footage approach to like the marketing process and everything else. And by the way, not putting it down, it's just the reality of like larger businesses. There's, you know, this kind of process is a bit different. We're very high end, very detail oriented. You're also getting me. You're not, you know, you're not a big team leader. You're getting a member on their team who's probably only a couple years experience. That's an example of how you position the pitch against a big team leader, right? And the big team leader's argument against a guy like me is like, hey, we sell so many houses that we have so much market research and so much data. We have a huge selection of buyers that we can reach out to and a massive collection, you know, here in the marketplace. You, as soon as you get a listing with us, our whole team knows about it. So it's like, know the arguments and know how you're going to address them every stage of the way. And those things will better prepare you, Melissa, that when you're in front of a seller, you know how to close the deal. And if you're not getting in front of enough sellers, now that's a marketing and an advertising problem. So just isolate your problems and it'll really help you understand how to stand out there in a good way. And drop a comment to let me know if that was helpful or if you still have some questions. Steve, my guy, what's going on, buddy?
Just basically geared towards luxury properties here. So what kind of what 5 things do you feel you must do in listing appointments? I mean, it could be 3, 5, whatever you like, just something you feel like this is consistent. I need to do this at all times. It's part of my policy. I need to do this to win the deal every time, or at least give myself the best chance. What do you think the 5 things are? One of the things I had when I was trying to get luxury properties, I was going to these appointments, and man, I kind of put that to the side. I dropped down on my price points and I started getting them. But man, they're a little harder. They're a little more strategic. They're just a little bit more challenging for whatever reason. And I feel like I was missing something. Not sure what it was, but I just want to see what your top 5 things must do's or must haves in your presentation to like make sure like you solidify your best chances to getting that listing.
Yeah, I love it, Steve. Where are you based out of?
San Antonio, Texas.
And what's the price points you're trying to go after? What's luxury in your market?
I would say anything above 700,000.
Nice. So below 700, you find it pretty easy to go in and win those appointments. Above 700, you find that people are walking away choosing a different agent.
It gets super close. I get close. I even asked for their opinion, their feedback. Like, hey, so based on all the appointments you had, where would you place me at? Well, I've been had a couple of them that wanted to pick me, but then last minute someone came in and took them, and I was like, so I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm missing. I think, and a lot of the feedback was the experience.
Yeah.
I didn't have a
So
lot of them, so
yeah, number one, man, I would say good on you for getting out after it and getting those appointments and making stuff happen and moving and shaking. Here's my take on luxury is take an hour of your day and go swing by like a local Porsche dealership or a Land Rover dealership or like just go swing by these like luxury dealerships or go stop into a Rolex boutique. Like go touch and feel a little bit of luxury product. And the reason I bring that up is because I was at a Porsche dealer last night, and when I walked around, I noticed a couple of things. Every sales guy was in a suit. They looked sharp. They walked around with a certain like poise, and they had that attitude of like, I belong here at this dealership, right? They're familiar with the environment. For me, walking in, it's a little more intimidating. These are $200,000 cars. It's like I'm kind of getting a sub like, hey, am I allowed to just open up the doors and sit in the cars? Like, what's the vibe, right? The reason I'm referencing all this is that the first thing I notice whenever I deal with luxury is everything feels luxury. Okay. The way the door opens, the experience inside, the way the person greets me when I walk through the door. They ask me if I want a coffee or a water. It's like you'll notice this every luxury spot you walk into. The very first thing they're going to do is, "Hey, can I get you a coffee? Can I get you water? Would you like an espresso? Hey, good to meet you." And everything's very like professional. It's like they're, almost like butlers, right? It just feels very high end, very like, what can we do for you? It's matter of fact. They're kind, but they're still bold and kind of assertive. The reason I want you to go and touch a bit of that stuff, Steve, right as a starting place, is because luxury is a little bit of a vibe. It's a bit of a feeling and a thing. And what people are looking for, even for me, when I've been getting hired some of those higher price points, these people were hiring me because they trusted that they liked what they had seen from me already. So when they saw my marketing, they're like, wow, that guy's absolutely going to deliver for us. And the other thing is the confidence and that like je ne sais quoi of the way you present yourself is really important. So when you're walking into luxury, don't sit there and watch like $1 million listing Los Angeles and think you're going to walk in like Josh Altman or Josh Flagg, where they're walking in with like just a t-shirt on, right? It's different. Like I think for us, you got to walk in a suit, in a really nice tailored suit. You have to present yourself really well. You have to be a professional. So here's what I do, Steve, to answer your question. When I go visit a home, I do a step one. My step one is I walk through. Is I set up the appointment. And I say, hey, look, Steve, so good to meet you, my man. Looking forward to connecting with you. Don't say my man, by the way. I'm just talking to you that way because you're a fellow agent. So I'd say, hey, Steve, lovely to be having a conversation today. Step one is this. I want to walk through and just get a quick idea of what your home looks like so that when I come back and sit down with you and give you a true idea of your home's value, I've actually seen inside the home. So all I'm going to need is about 10, 15 minutes to walk through the home, get a good sense. I want to shake your hand, meet you, Steve, and then walk through and see what the home looks like today, tomorrow, day after. Which one's better for for me to buy for 10, 15 minutes? And Steve goes, tomorrow was great. I go, awesome. Morning, afternoon, or evening, which is easier for you? And you go, afternoon. I say, perfect. How's, noon or 2 p.m.? And you say 2 p.m. And I go, awesome. I'll see you there. Looking forward to it. Show up at your front door and I shake your hand. I'm dressed in a suit. I look the part. I'm going to have some cologne on. I'm going to look and smell nice. And I'm going to not be offensive with the amount of cologne, but I'm just going to smell nice. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to go, Steve, so good to meet you, man. I love what you've done here with the house, or beautiful, or you know what, I already looked it up online, looked up a past sale. You guys have done a bunch of stuff. Walk me through it. And then now as I'm walking through, the very first thing I'm going to do is show a bunch of authority. I'm going to be like, oh, really nice. You guys opted for quartz here. I know that it used to be maybe laminate in the kitchen or granite. You guys have done some updates. This looks lovely. Awesome. Is this a porcelain tile here or ceramic? Great. Just talking about the finishes and showing that you know what you're talking about is really important. And those things help with the luxury market. Is go watch a bunch of videos. I have a bunch of videos online. You can watch my walkthrough videos and see how detailed I am in describing finishes and describing, hey, this trim is nice because it's thick on this house. The crown molding in here is lovely. Those things help a seller right away be like, man, this guy knows his stuff. And then what happens, Steve, is that 10-minute appointment always turns into a 30-minute appointment because now I'm talking to the door. Steve, what do you do for work, man? And you're sharing a little bit. And I go, oh, that's fantastic. How long have you been doing that for? And we're getting to know each other a bit. And I go, look, Steve, by the way, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come back. Does tomorrow or the day after work for you? And we talk about a time. I go, look, I'm going to come back. I'm going to sit you down. And now that I've seen your home, I can give you a much more accurate idea of how your home compares against the other homes that have sold here in the neighborhood, Steve. Just out of curiosity, before I come back and kind of give you my full scoop, what do you think your home's worth? And you're going to say, Jake, that's really up to you. And I go, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to come back with a full breakdown in a lot of detail based on a number of different ways that we value homes. But if you just had to guess, what do you think your house is worth? All right. And I'm going to push a couple times to get them to just spit out a bit of a number, because I need to know when I come back how much time I need to allocate to, adjusting reality for people. All right. So I do this little song and dance, and then something I'll even say on the first appointment is, and this is a good little planting a seed, is I'll say, part of the reason I do this step one and come through here is there's nothing worse than an agent that just knocks on your door for the first time. They've never seen your house, but they're prepared to sit down with you and tell you what they think it's worth. I think that's actually crazy that someone could value this is probably one of your biggest assets, right, Steve? Maybe your biggest, but probably one of your biggest. And you go, of course. And I go, yeah. So it'd be kind of crazy if I just walked in here willy-nilly and roughly told you what I thought it was worth based on some other houses that have sold. Like I kind of need to come see what I'm going to value, right? And you'd be like, yeah. And the reason I do that is now the next agent that walks in and just says, hey, your house is worth X. It's like, how could you know that? Right. So we want to plant some of those seeds. So then what I do before my step two, Steve, is ideally it's 2 or 3 days away. So in between, I have my administrator or I myself, if it's just you, go drop off a bottle of wine or a bag of coffee or whatever with a little thank you note that says, hey, thank you so much. You're going to love working with Jake. Everybody does. We look forward to the opportunity to compete for your business and share a little bit more, about your home's value in a couple days' time. Thank you so much for having us in your lovely home. Now you're like head and shoulders above any other agent you're up against. Not even a question. Nobody does this kind of stuff. And then you go back a couple days later, and before you go back, I have my administrator pick up the phone and say, hey, Steve, just wanted to confirm your appointment is with Jake later this afternoon at 2 p.m. Do you guys have a Wi-Fi password? If you could just get it prepared for him, he's probably going to want to show you a couple things on his computer, some great videos, some other things, and his cell phone reception might not be perfect where you guys are living. So just want to make sure you have the Wi-Fi ready. And by the way, did you guys get the bottle of wine that we sent? Amazing. Awesome. Hey, by the way, Steve, you're going to love working with Jake. Everybody does. And we look forward to trying to see if we can earn your business. And that person gets off that call, and now it feels like freaking luxury, right? It's like this person sent me a bottle of wine. They had their executive administrator call. Dude, get your like wife, girlfriend, sister, somebody to just call on your behalf. Like just do whatever you need to do to create that experience, especially if you're punching way above your weight class, or you yourself call and just say, hey, this is hey Steve, Jake here. Just wanted to confirm today's a super busy day. Just wanted to make sure everything's all good for 2 p.m. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys. Did you get the gift that I dropped off there? Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about it. Awesome. Glad you guys enjoy that. Hey, looking forward to seeing you at 2 p.m. We'll see you then, Steve. All right. So these are a couple things that before you even get into your sales pitch and your appointment and everything else, now when that person opens up the door for the second time, they're going to have a smile on their face. They're going to be like, hey, good to see you, man. Like you just dropped off a little gift for me. So professional. So the sale itself is not in like a sneaky script that gets said a certain way. It's in all these little interactions that start to create this experience of luxury. Now, last detail on this is Steve, before I show up at their house, usually the day before, about 20 hours before, 24 hours beforehand, before that step appointment where I'm now going to present marketing strategy, pricing on their house and how it all and commissions and how everything rolls out. I send an email and it says like, please read this prior to the appointment. And the email has testimonials and reviews for me that are on Google. It has here's one of our marketing pages that shows one of the houses we've listed, as well as a marketing video. And then I also have like a EXP luxury for my brokerage. I've got like a little folder that I'll put together that is like this really quick thing that takes the front photo of their house that I might have taken with my cell phone or from Google Street Images, and it creates this big deck. It just looks really impressive. And I send all this stuff over in advance, as well as like a marketing booklet from me. And I say, please read through all the material here in advance. We're really looking forward during our appointment to spending as much time as possible talking about your home's value and everything else. So please take a look over our marketing and our process. And then once that's all done and wrapped up, we can dive into pricing. And if you haven't seen it, we'll go through this together, but ideally take a look at it. And now you go in there and people are like, I looked at everything, checked out all your reviews, looked at your videos, like very impressive marketing, love what you're doing. And then what I usually do, Steve, is I sit down and I go, awesome. So before I bore you guys and open up like a slide deck or dive really deep in this presentation, what matters for you about the agent you're looking to hire? And I'm going to let them tell me, well, it really matters that we don't spend too much time in the market. It matters that we price the house right. It matters that we don't feel like we're in a rush. It matters that fill in the blank. And then you're going to repeat back to them. Awesome. So it sounds like pricing really matters to you. It sounds like the marketing process, the staging really matters to you. It sounds like these things matter to you. Anything else that's really important in the process for you guys when you're thinking about selecting an agent? And then they share again, right? Well, this matters or that matters or no thing. And you go, awesome. So listen, let's dive right in. And then you start your presentation. So I know I went way deep on that question, Steve, but I really hope that that's helpful in you understanding that winning a luxury listing is is like it's not just anything you said, it's like this culmination of all these little experiences that by the time they're going to make a decision, they're like, man, no one did what that Jake guy did. Like these other people came in, yeah, they maybe said a price that we really liked, but like I don't know how prepared it was. Those things matter a ton, man. Thoughts, questions?
I think that's great, man. I didn't do all those little things to make them feel like I was going to provide a different service than most other agents out there, right? I think that's something I'll probably try. Definitely, I will try next time and try to do as much as I can to get that get them to feel, like, hey, this guy really stands out. He does. He's selling a very expensive home, our biggest investment. I want the best person for his job. Like this guy's doing all the small things. Imagine what he's going to do when it comes to marketing. Imagine when it comes to house. What all these small things he's going to be doing on the back end that we're going to get our money's worth, and he's going to get it done. So yeah, feeling sharp. I guess what it comes down is sharp and making him get that experience. So yeah, no, I definitely love that. I'm gonna definitely try that out. It
Man,
definitely
like the
changes the
easiest,
dynamics.
it
I
does.
didn't
And
do
the
that.
easiest way
I'll
to
be
think
honest, I
about
didn't do
it
that.
is, yeah, of course, man. This is like this is weak stuff, right? This is what separates the realtor who kind of just shows up at the brokerage and tries to sell a couple houses every year from like the person that's like, hey, we're running a real business here, right? And this is an experience. So last thing I would say on top of that is for all of you guys, definitely go touch and feel luxury a little bit and see what that experience is like. And the thing that I even told my administrator this morning was because she asked me something about like, do you want to call clients about this detail if they have like questions about some small detail? And I said, absolutely not. Like my doctor doesn't call me to check in on billing, right? Like my doctor is not like calling me being like, oh, let's make sure that billing issue is sorted. Or my lawyer doesn't call me and like check in on this issue related to billing. It's administrative and it creates this perspective that their time is really valuable when all these pieces are in place. It makes it feel like you're working with a true professional. And we like, let's be honest, guys, I get paid more than doctors get paid, right? So I need to make sure that if that's going to be the case, why wouldn't the experience feel like it's at that level, right? It should feel that luxury. So that's what I would encourage you to do for sure, Steve.
All right.
There's something else in there, but yeah, I hope that's helpful, man. We'll keep rocking.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know when I actually when I'm actually able to implement this and let you know how it goes.
Awesome. Good stuff, my guy. Leif, hit me, buddy. What you got?
I just want to follow up on the gift. You said like you would go after your initial meeting, like 2 or 3 days later, you'll drop off a bottle or whatever it may be. So let's say this is a client that you're nurturing, like they're not ready to sell for the next like 4 to 6 months or whatever it may be. You dropped the first bottle of wine. Frequent afterwards, do you follow up and do you still also like monthly gifts or what would you do?
Yeah, definitely don't do monthly gifts. That gift is more of a appointment introduction, kind of part of my step one, step two process. What I do after this, Leif, is really simple. Let's say somebody tells me they want to sell in 4 months. My immediate response would be, "Hey, Leif, so you mentioned you want to sell in 4 months. What's changing for you in 4 months?" It's the most important question to ask. Like, but what you're asking is why in 4 months? But the question is, what's changing for you in 4 months? And you go, you know what, Jake? Main reason is just, it's going to be the spring market. It's going to be a better time to sell. We kind of want to wait till like March, April. And then my next question would be, awesome. Do you guys have a plan on where you plan to go after you sell? Well, we're looking for XYZ. So there's a whole bunch of, and someone asked this question earlier, do you pre-qualify people? And the answer is like, yeah, this is part of that process. Whole bunch of questions you want to ask to really zero in. And again, you're not asking, don't feel like you're asking because you're trying to take information. You're actually asking because you're trying to serve them better, right? So these questions are all, how do I serve you? And how do I, as an advisor in your real transaction process, how do I advise you in the right way? A financial advisor doesn't just give out investing advice. They would ask a lot of questions about risk tolerance, objectives with your money, how much money you think you need, how much money you currently have, all these things. And it wouldn't be invasive. It would be bad if they, as a financial advisor, didn't ask all these questions. And if someone's like, well, I don't want, that's really personal. It'd be like, yeah, this is a really important process for you and it's highly personal. We want to make sure that in order to advise you in the right direction, we have to gather the right information about that for you, Leif. So to answer your question is, what I would do is if someone said 4 to 6 months, I'd start by making sure I understand what they want their life to look like. And then what I would say to that person, Leif, is I'd say, awesome. So in 4 to 6 months, just to be clear, do you want to be beginning or ending the listing process? And they'll probably be like, what do you mean? And you'll be like, well, really simple. Do you want to be just putting your house up on the market in 4 months? Or do you want to be out of your house in 4 months? Or do you want to be just starting to prepare your house to be listed in 4 months? Which of those three? And they're like, well, I hadn't really thought about it. I guess we probably want to be on the market in 4 months. Okay, good. So you want to have your house, probably staged or cleaned up or like photographed, videographed, all the information gathered, any you're going to make on the property, all that stuff has been done. You're ready and you're on the market in 4 months. Is that right, Leif? And you go, yeah, that sounds right. Amazing. So 4 months is actually going to come up really quick. Are you familiar with the process of listing a home? Have you done it before? And they go, yes, I have. Awesome. What went well for you? What didn't? And the reason I'm going to ask all this is I'm going to say, hey, you know what's probably the next best step, Leif, is now we have a lot of our sellers reaching out about listing their property in the spring or listing their property 6 months from now, whatever the angle is. Here's what I'd like to do. I want to do a consultation so we can start to have a conversation about a couple things so that those 4 months don't just sneak up on us. And now your home isn't as prepared as we'd like it to be to get as much money as possible for you in 4 to 6 months. Does that make sense? They go, yeah. And you go, awesome. So what I'd love to do is set up, and for us, this is what we do. I go, I'd love to have my stager come by your home. Her name's Rachel. I'd love to have Rachel come by. She's going to give you guys a checklist of some things that we can just start to chip away at and prepare so that over the next 3 months, we can get everything ready. And then about a month before we're actually going to hit the market, that's when we'll want to be ready to gather photos, get staging done, get cleaning done, maybe do a pre-home inspection and have all that stuff in place so that 4 months on the dot, whatever day makes sense and kind of works, there's nothing left to be done and you're not now behind and then missing the spring market because you're listing kind of at the end of it rather than the beginning of it. Does that make sense? And it's like now you sound like a total professional who's guiding them through the process rather than just letting someone tell you what their time frame is and you're just assuming they know all this stuff, which they don't, right? So it's really important to walk people through that process and help them understand. The other thing I'll say to someone is if they said, hey, actually, we want to be out of our house in 6 months. I'd be like, amazing. When's the last time you guys bought or sold real estate? And then I'd get a little bit of an understanding of their experience. And what I would say right away is, hey, look, if you want to be out of your house in 6 months, here's kind of the typical time frame of how long things take. So you're not too surprised is from the day your house sells to reverse engineer that. In this market, it's typically like 45, 60, all the way up to kind of 90 days from the day your house sells on the market until you're moving out. So if you want to move out in 6 months, that means about 4 months from now, or maybe even 3.5 months from now, you need to have sold your house. And if that's the case, the average amount of time houses spend on the market, do you know what they are right now, Leif? It's like 48 days. Okay. So if it's 48 days, that actually means that 3.5 months from now is when you need to sell. We actually need to be on the market 2 months from now or whatever, right? And if we need to be on the market 2 months from now, we're like a month away from starting the preparation process. Is that making sense how quickly that can happen? And it's like you're helping educate people on, they don't understand how long it might take to sell their house, right? And you need to be able to walk them through what that process looks like. So I know I'm not answering what you're really asking, Leif, which is like, what's your follow-up process? But I'm giving you something way more important than a follow-up process, which is I'm giving you a roadmap that you need to introduce to people so that rather than just following up, you can start to, like, if you have this conversation with somebody, Leif, you're already winning their business because what's going to start to happen is they're going to be like, wow, man, this person knows their stuff. I like how they're advising me through it. I like how they're asking me my experience and helping me understand what those next steps might look like. I like how professional they are. It's like it'll start to build trust because people's guards are way up, right? Like people are going to want to throw tons of smoke screens at you. Maybe they're not going to really want to get into it just yet. Maybe when they say 6 months in the future, they're like, I don't even want to think about it for 4 more months. And you got to learn how to help people kind of navigate it without being pushy, just being an advisor. From that point, once I know what someone's plans really are, or maybe honestly, Leif, I get it all the time still. People are like, you know what, Jake, we're just like, we're not ready yet. Reach out to us in January and then maybe we'll have a bit of a better sense. I'll go, fantastic. Here's what I'm going to do in the meantime. You guys mentioned you're looking for XYZ. I'm going to start to keep my eyes peeled for that type of property in case something pops up that is really interesting. But either way, you guys mentioned you want to move, kind of closer to like May. So in the meantime, what I'll do is I'll let our team kind of know that your property is going to be a consideration. If anybody reaches out, they're looking for something, I'll give you a heads up. Otherwise, I'll give you a call in January. How does like middle of January look for you for me to give you a follow-up call? And if I can, Lathe, I'll actually try and put something in the calendar so that my call is more like an appointment to properly check in and start to prepare. And by the way, guys, everything that I'm saying right now is all I've been doing for the last month. That's why it's so familiar and it sounds like maybe it's this big script or process that I have. I've actually just done it 30 times in the last 3 weeks, getting people ready for the spring market. Because there's a lot of people that are like, hey, Jake, we kind of want to sell, but we know now isn't a good time. When does the spring market really start? And that's where the education, the conversation begins. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful, buddy. In terms of other follow-up, Lathe, I used phone call more than anything else. I find that drip stuff is okay. Sending text messages is good for quick check-ins. I like to give people quick phone calls, and even a voicemail just says, Leif, hey man, I know I'll be reaching out to you in January, but it's a couple days away from Christmas or a couple of days away from New Year's. One, just give you a quick call and say, hey, I'm cheering you on. Hope this is an amazing year for you, brother, and I'm looking forward to helping you guys navigate that big move that's coming up. But either way, just wanted to say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family. Hope it's a great year, brother. Cheers. It's like just little check-ins, little things along the way go a long ways. And then the other thing is I send out a monthly newsletter. So I know that at the very minimum over the next 4 months, they're going to get my newsletter and they're going to get it 4 times. And that's going to help nurture them along. And the newsletter is very personal, very detailed in business, shows everything that I'm listing and selling. And that really helps people develop a lot of trust toward me.
Perfect. No, that's a lot. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. Tons of
Hey,
great
Jake.
comments in here. I haven't taken a look at them just yet. Yeah, hit me, Victor.
Yeah, I was just about to go over those today, or just right now, in terms of the questions. Would you like me to read them, and then you
You know
can go ahead
what?
and ask?
I'll jump in with them right away. I'll start actually with Lath here at the top. See if I didn't just answer that, and then we'll work our way through. So you're saying holiday mode, not considering selling. You're getting Meskula leads for home evals of people who are in the middle of construction and won't finish until the spring. Would you recommend monthly follow-ups? So I just gave you the
Yeah.
perfect answer for that, Lath. Yeah, which is good, man. So that's the process. The answer is proactive is so much better than reactive. So just try and get people proactive as much as possible. And proactive is, let's go in there. Let's start the process now. Let's send you a, weekly update on what's selling in your neighborhood. I love educating consumers. I love them to start to get a little bit more educated, and you're not worried that now they're going to know what their house is worth and try and be a FISBO or try and reach out. Like they'll start to see, okay, Jake's providing me valuable information. And a lot of them don't understand automation. So they think you're just sending them an email once a week, like personally, when really you're just automatically updating them. Ed asked, how do I get luxury leads? Honestly, really simple answer. I get them from past listings as well as from door knocking. I love door knocking because there's no faster way to meet a luxury seller than to just walk up and knock on their door. The other thing that I've done for the other luxury listings I've had, because I have to give that some evidence, I have a $3 million listing right now. I just reduced it from 3.4, and it was somebody whose door I literally went up and knocked on 2 years ago. And they called me 2 years later, and all they were getting was a monthly newsletter from me. I actually thought the lady really didn't like me. And it turns out she advocated that I was the agent they had to hire because I knocked on their door 2 years ago. It's like crazy stuff. The other listings that I've had was one of them was a pay-per-click. I've had a Meskula lead come through in the luxury category. And I'd have to look at kind of the other stuff. Lots of open houses for meeting luxury people, especially once you get a luxury listing. It's like now you door knock that neighborhood like crazy. You do open houses. I run a lot of paid advertising even through YouTube and Facebook just to get my listings out there to help build credibility. And then some other things I'll be doing for luxury leads is I run dedicated YouTube ads about myself. And then I'm also going to be starting to do physical mail marketing reports to luxury households. Love it. Oliver, we talked about pre-qualification. I gave you a huge deep dive there into pre-qualification stuff, which is great. Stephanie said, do you do this for Meskula pop by as well, or just for a proper listing appointment? It's a great question, Stephanie. The answer is usually my step 1 and my step 2 is for anyone that's looking to get a good idea of value, I want to try and win their business. So I like to be detailed in that process. If someone is like, hey, we have absolutely no intentions on selling, we really just want to get an idea of our home's value, I will go do a step one and still try and get a sense. And then my step two will not be the whole listing presentation of everything that I'm going to do. It's going to be way more about, hey, here's where I think your value sits. But in that step one, I'm going to really grill that person with as many questions as I can about why their home value matters to them. Are they refinancing? Are they truly just curious? I'm going to set them up on neighborhood drip so they can monitor what's selling. I'm going to try and get a good sense, Stephanie, of like what is their motivation for wanting to know their home value. Because a lot of people are low key thinking about selling, or they're going to sell in 5 years. And if you can build that relationship now, you can be their point person when that time comes. Kim, just a little fire emoji, getting me fired up. Love it. And then Stephanie, you also asked a little random, do you send out just listed, just sold postcards? I found in the past there's no ROI except on farming a neighborhood. The answer is I've done a little bit of it. Our team does more of it, and it's a no-brainer. Honestly, it's a no-brainer because people are in varying demographics. They're not all savvy. They're not all checking the local apps or whatever you have in your area to see what things are selling for. If they're older people, they actually look at their physical mail a lot more closely and they'll pay attention. And the game of real estate is top of mind awareness. You're just trying to let people know you exist all the time and help remind them. And there's nothing more interesting to people, by the way, than what their neighbors' houses are selling for. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. Sample of my yeah. Ask and you shall receive. Let me pull it up here. Just got a new listing from a just sold postcard. Love to see it. That's awesome. The Housemongers. While I'm pulling up my postcard here, tell me about that new listing you got from your just sold postcard. Tell me about what that phone call sounded like, because I know what this call sounds like. I want to hear it from you.
Just a direct question on how long it took to sell and what the price was and how much I knew about the neighborhood, all that kind of thing. Just testing who I was, what I was about. And we just asked for an appointment to speak in person immediately, and it turned out great. Sold it
Amazing.
in 3 days.
Let's go. Love it. Love to hear it. Yeah, again, like a lot of people, if they don't have a real estate agent, this is something I've thought about a lot. So I mentioned door knocking. One of the things we'll do, to your point there, the Housemongers. By the way, what's your name?
Sorry, it's Jeff.
Jeff. Awesome. Good to meet you, Jeff. Love to have
Good to
man.
meet you, Jake.
So what Jeff was just sharing, and I appreciate you sharing that, Jeff, because when we door knock, I always think about this. What you're looking for when you're trying to build rapport with a home seller is you're trying to demonstrate either some authority or have a reason to reach out to them that's relevant to them. Everybody's a little bit curious what their house might be worth, and they're always curious what their neighbors' houses are selling for because it's the most direct impact on them. So door knocking is a great way to do it. Mailed flyers is a great way to do it. But for a lot of people, they might not know of a real estate agent in this moment, or maybe they knew someone from the past, or it's been a while, or whatever. There's no better social proof than a neighbor in their neighborhood having just hired you as the realtor. Because it's like, oh, if Tony over there hired Jeff, then we should maybe give Jeff a call because Tony has good taste, or Tony's whatever, or at the very least, he's in our neighborhood. So he just sold the houses. He probably has other buyers, right? It's like, thou shall multiply thy listings, man. Let's go. Let's make it happen. So good stuff, Jeff. Okay, real quick, you guys asked for this. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Perfect. You guys are in my email inbox. Let me pop this guy up and give you guys kind of just a quick idea. So here is a look at my newsletter. For those of you that are smart and you're kind of paying attention to this, this is like me giving you $50,000 for free. Honestly, that's like, I don't know how many, depends what market you're in, how many properties worth, but like this thing nurtures my database in a way that no amount of phone calls, emails, text messages really can, because it's just so automatic and so easy. And I do it every month. So it goes out, hey, I'm excited to share what's kind of going on. Just a little note off the top. And it says in today's edition, I try to make it look fun, like a little miniature magazine with like here's the chapters, right? And then they open it up. Notice right away, I want to lower people's guards. I want them to see me as human. I want them to know my family. I want them to know that I refer to my wife as wonderful Helen. I've like branded her as wonderful Helen. And then my son's name is Harvey. I want people to see this, and I want them to feel like, man, like I know that guy. It personalizes me, because every other time they're going to see me, I'm going to be in a suit. I'm going to be selling houses. This is like cool. This is kind of Jake behind the veil, right? So I shared something personal. Hey, we were away on vacation, share a little bit about me and my family. And then I shared, here in this instance, I was speaking. So anytime you're speaking somewhere, you're teaching a team somewhere, there's some photos of you as an expert. I love to slide that stuff into the newsletter. So I was like, hey guys, it was an honor getting asked to speak at this thing. I went and spoke. I even do a book club thing, which is like just a fun thing I do with our team, where our team reads books. So I shared, here's the book of the month that we were reading. I was introducing, here's, a development within our team. This is my business partner, David, and I have now partnered together. Here's all the stuff we've sold. Here's our agents. Here's our 5 full-time staff. Just some credibility about us. And then I do a market report. This market report is a video of me sharing the local stats from my market center. And I just talk about it for 5 minutes. I go, look, guys, in the last month, sales are up this much, down this much. Here's how many new listings are hitting the market. Here's my prediction for what I think is going to happen come December. Here's what I think the spring market's going to start to look like. By the way, if you're wondering when is the best time to plan on selling your house, pick up the phone and give me a call, 289-204, blah, 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 blah. I'd love to chat with you guys. I know your home's value and how we can help you kind of prepare for what things are going to look like as we head into the, spring, and it's going to be a big spring. So I share that. I do my little take and then film that on my screen, and then they can click on all these links and watch the video. Okay. Then I show, hey, here's what I've got for sale. Here's the houses I have for sale. Here's the stuff that I've sold. So I'll be like, and I'll create these graphics when we sell something, or when we help our buyers buy something. So then I throw all this in here. I'm like, here's all the houses we've just sold. Here's all the houses we've helped purchase. Then I've got a little section that's called how long does it take to sell? I just perpetually leave this at the bottom of my emails, because I've realized people don't understand that selling process. So I'm like, look, it takes, a couple weeks to sell, it takes multiple weeks to be on the MLS, and then you're going to wait 60 to 90 days before you move out of your house. So from start to finish, it's going to take anywhere from 12 to 18 weeks, depending on your property. And this helps people realize, like, holy crap, I didn't realize that I might have to wait that long, or et cetera, right? And then that's it. A little testimonial at the bottom. They can click on this thing to go check out my reviews. And then underneath that, it's got neighborhoods that they can click on. This stuff doesn't matter. The main thing that matters, guys, show something personal, show something that demonstrates market update and expertise. Those 2 things are going to be enough for people to open up your newsletter each time and be curious, and make sure that they're listening to you as an expert. So good stuff, guys. I feel like I answered 3 questions today, and it took an hour, which is awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Good stuff. Any advice on how to design our marketing materials to appeal to luxury? Yeah, Melissa, I answered that earlier. Go and I don't have one of our booklets here. They're all at the office, but go and interact with some luxury stuff. Go walk into some stores you might never actually buy anything from. It doesn't matter. Go walk into like Gucci or Prada, or like, Rolex is a great example. I said earlier, car dealerships that are luxury. Go walk into some of these luxury clothing stores. Just notice how the staff talk to you. It's not about us being pompous. Sometimes you walk into these places and maybe they're a little bit pompous, like they're judging you. That's not the goal.
I did hear that part, and I told him I'm talking more specifically about like you said, the 24 hours before you go to see them, you send material to them. And I'm finding that when I look for stuff, it's all kind of like very white and bland, and I didn't know if there was any strategies you feel appeals more towards luxury than other stuff that's out there. Because when you ask somebody who sells luxury, like, hey, can you share your, your listing guide or whatever it is, very like dope. And so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, what I would say is the reason I was referencing, Melissa, like go touch and feel some of that stuff, is it'll help you with your sensibilities as you're looking on like Etsy for a listing presentation, or Etsy for like what kind of buyer's guide can I send? Like I've got a bunch of old ones here that we no longer give out because number one, doesn't look luxury enough. And it was like early on I had these are quite old now and they're pretty beat up. But we had booklets like this, right, that we give out to people that were like just good for them to kind of see. But what I would say is when I feel this product as an example, like, the is one thing. I think anything with stock images looks bad. So we don't use stock images at all anymore because they look cheap. They look kind of like that Walmart look where it's just like easily accessible. I want it to look luxury. So looking luxury is the sensibility that I feel like I've learned from going into these different luxury brands, from taking a Rolex magazine home with me and like reading some of the description on how they write their copy. And those things I think help you, Melissa, get a sensibility of like what feels and looks luxury. Because a lot of luxury sellers, they're looking for somebody that is going to understand the like what luxury means and how to sell it. And there isn't a shortcut that I could possibly give you other than to say you kind of want to get it in your hands a little bit more and touch and feel it. Like even the feeling of our new booklets have that like leathery, rubbery feeling on the pages, like a really high-end business card. Like here's my business partner's old business card, right? I don't personally like gold or like this really shiny look, but it feels luxury. The card feels thick. It's like that thick card stock, right? I think it's called embossed, right? Where the actual font is like embossed and raised, high gloss. It looks and feels kind of luxury. This to me looks awful. We've kind of redesigned our cards, but again, like this is all embossed. It feels like if I got this card, I'd be like, oh, this is a nice feeling card. Now, from a design perspective, I've got lots of separate thoughts, but it just feels luxury. So those things are kind of more things I think you develop a bit of a sensibility of like looks good and feels good. If black and white isn't your thing, then find your own kind of style. Go get some magazines that feel luxury, how they set it up. I think that's kind of what you're asking. If what you're asking is like what other luxury touch points do we have? I kind of shared the 80-20 of what I think is the most important thing for you to focus on. High touch points, high interactions. From a branding perspective, the simplest thing I can say is just go follow some luxury brands. Go check out what Sotheby's is doing, Engels and Volkers. Look at the kind of look and feel, but think about how you'd make it different. Look at Sirhant's luxury division and how they kind of do stuff. Look at Josh Flagg versus Josh Altman. There's so many cool variations of luxury. There's like the Sotheby's, Engels and Volkers, Christie's that is kind of like sophisticated, almost European feeling, very traditional, very like simplistic. Then there's Sirhant, which is more like kind of edgy New York City, fast paced, bright. Everything's very bright. Everything's very colorful. And then there's like the Altman brothers, which is like borders at times on tacky. There's a lot of gold. There's a lot of whatever, a lot of flashiness, but like those people like that. Then there's Josh Flagg that's like really boutique, way more like one guy that's going to sell everything. Images are very soft, like so many different styles. Go educate yourself on all that. And I think that'll really help you even be able to, like I just articulated all that, help you be able to articulate to a luxury seller what it is that you do different, how you position their property, how you think about the marketing process. It'll all help a ton. Thanks so much, guys. Love spending the time with you. Rock and roll. Looking forward to the next one. Stephanie, open rate is like 30 to 40%. It's quite high, relatively speaking. So appreciate all the conversation today. Come follow me on Instagram. If you go follow me, I'll keep in touch with what you guys are doing. My name's on Instagram is just Jake Nicole, Nicolle. And go follow my YouTube. I have a whole bunch of content. I haven't been producing stuff for the last couple months, but I have like hours of content that are like produced at a very high level that I think you guys will really enjoy. God bless everybody. I hope you guys are doing good, and I'll see you guys real soon.